Hello everyone and welcome back to Sharp Cuts. My name is Garrett May alongside Josh Nickel. As always, welcome to the show. We've got two guests today, Josh. I cannot believe that you pulled through. It's kind of unbelievable. You're normally the guest guy, and now you got two, which is unheard of on this show. So welcome to the show, Craig Moore and Ben Saxon. Welcome to the show, my boys. This should be an interesting discussion. We don't know what we're going to talk about, though, so I mean, maybe that makes for the best shows. So Josh, I'm not even going to throw it to you because I don't really care what you have to say today. I don't know. I'm a bit feisty today. I'm going to get right into it. So, for our listeners out there, I've moved to Vancouver. And Craig, yes.
Let's go.
Some people are hype. Some people are pissed. Nobody's really that pissed, actually. But I need a little onboarding here. Ben, you've been in the scene. I think you trained here a while sometimes. You played in a few of the tournaments here. I need an onboard. I need you to tell me what makes this spot so great and what I really need to do to inject myself in the scene and leave Ontario in the dust spot.
I moved to Vancouver for like a good 7 years or so, and I'm back in Calgary now. But I went there for the weather mostly, and then I met the volleyball scene and got kind of adopted into it, I guess, or just welcomed with open arms. And
so they didn't chirp you for not skyballing immediately.
Oh, I did skyball immediately.
Oh, so maybe that's the secret, Josh. Did you get it in?
You got to if you're down there. Like they're asking for it right away. You got to do it.
But did you miss or did you get it in? Like, do you need to get it in or just the effort is enough?
Effort is enough, I think.
It's got to be high.
Skyball was off.
None of these soft skyballs where it's just going over. Okay, I'm making mental notes here.
I think the phrase is punch a cloud, Garrett. You got to punch a cloud with it.
So it doesn't matter where it goes as long as it's high. I'm going to put it 5 courts over and just yell and scream, and that's enough?
Some of the most legendary skyballs at Kits Beach of all time are not in the court. Brian Miller, who's played AVPs, was up here at a Cliver. He was playing Harvalius and Robson in like a semi, I think. And they were up 14-9 in the third, and we're all cheering skyball. He like jacks a skyball up, like basically lands in the ocean. And then Harv and Robson come back on 6 straight points and win 16-14. And then Miller hit the second best skyball of the day, which was one he booted like across the child's playground and basically onto the street after the game ended. And then immediately in their cars and to Seattle, gone.
But the skyball would have been worthy to earn him entrance into the community.
100%. He's welcome back anytime. Great dude.
Okay. Okay. All right. See, no, I need to hear this. I mean, it sounds like it's kind of up my alley, though, Josh. I never skyballed when I was taking it seriously. But now, I might skyball every time.
Why not?
Well, it sounds like it gets me mega brownie points. Ben, are you skyball? Like, third set, you're coming down. Kits Beach, you're hitting a skyball.
Well, on game point especially. You got to do it on game point. For match point.
Okay, so is that it? Like, is those all the prerequisites? You hit a skyball on game point, you're in.
I mean, we're not crazy people. If it's like 14-13, you don't have to hit a skyball.
You'll get booed. Come on.
It's like a loving boo. We all understand. You might get booed, but it's like a loving boo. But if it's 14-9, like you got to have enough confidence in yourself that you can side out one of the next 4 balls, whether you miss your skyball or not.
Except those guys didn't.
Those guys did not. They lost confidence and they collapsed. And then later that summer, I think they literally made 2 AVP main draws later that summer.
Okay. So, see, this is intriguing, Josh. See, now, I was in Ontario. I'm now in Vancouver. So, I don't know if that gives me the right to, like, chirp Ontario or what I'm in between right now, I think. But what are you looking at me like that for?
I think for them, Garrett, you're always going to be from Ontario, so you can't just throw us aside totally.
That's
you're never
what I'm
going to be
saying.
the
I have to
Vancouver
be
guy.
careful. Like, I'm not necessarily, right? Like, I'll always be the guy from Ontario, but I'm eager to bury Ontario, Josh.
And I'm eager to hear you bury them.
Oh yeah, okay.
So you're in. If you come here and you're like, I hate it here, I can't believe I had to leave Ontario, this is the worst. Then we're like, I don't know if this is good. But if you come here and you're like, that place kind of sucks, I was too close to Josh, like
Well, I'm definitely saying that. Like, that was I know we were talking before the show about why I moved to Vancouver. It was really because I was too close to Josh. I couldn't handle it. See that guy down at the beach? He waves. It's like, Nah, okay, that's too much, man. Like, get out of here. So, what is there anything else I need to know? Like, do I just show up down at Kitts Beach? Like, you know, I just call anyone? Like, Ben, who are you playing with when you're down? Like, it doesn't matter. Are you playing with Grant? You playing with like or does it matter?
There's so many layers to this, Garrett. You don't even know. You don't even know what you're about to learn on this episode.
Well, why don't you stop interrupting him, Josh, and let him tell me?
Hey, Ben even plays with schlubs.
You play with guys who suck.
That are not good.
I wouldn't say guys who suck. Seymour and I, we didn't. It's not my best Cliver result, but it's I played with Seymour and
you guys played together.
Yeah,
just for fun.
No, in a tournament for money.
Well,
Yeah.
How much money? Because I mean, Ben
Probably $1,000
we got ninth, so we didn't get any money.
Also not my best Cliver finish either.
Okay, so when I just asked you if you play with guys who are terrible, and then you proceed to tell me how you played with Seymour, you didn't say he was terrible, but the juxtaposition there, that's what you meant, right?
I actually go into the Clivers and I tend to drag my teammate down most of the time because I only play once every couple years, so I lose all my Cliver points, and then they have all the points.
Oh, right, like the first time entry, like you're in the qualifier, like, hey, you got to earn your way in, even if you're the big shooter, Ben Saxton.
Yeah, so then we start with the low seed all the time, and then come through, and I won a couple like that.
There's no promoter wild card for legendary figure Ben Saxton.
Not legendary enough, Garrett, I guess.
Well, like who gets the wild card if not Ben Saxton? No one.
Nobody.
Open.
If
Totally
John
open.
Cliver
No
himself entered the tournament and was like, I'm playing, he wouldn't even get a wild card.
Is that Jim's brother, John?
Yes. That's what I'm saying.
No, it's totally open. There's no qualifiers. You play. Everyone plays in the same draw in the same day. The whole tournament always happens.
See, maybe the
same day.
OVA can take some notes here.
If you have no points and are a current FIVB or AVP player, which does happen, we do rank you usually below all the guys that have won money. So you end up like being the 1 seed in a low pool. Like you end up being like the 12 seed or something.
Right. Okay. And what's the level like these days? Like, I mean, I've been out of the game for a few years. Like, is it competitive? Are there guys who are half decent? Or is it like, you know, there's a few teams and the rest are kind of like young club guys or whatever?
It's deep now. It's really good. So even the UBC guys that are out all the time, like they're getting better all the time every summer. There's a lot of good teams. I mean, there's obviously your top teams like Wiscar is still doing great. Logan and Gabe had a really good summer, but they didn't win them all. Really good players on the island. Sean Casey's still awesome. I don't know. I feel like that guy's been playing forever. He's still only 30 something, but he's been playing forever. He's so good. Curtis Stockton's amazing. So there's lots of good players. There's probably you should get John McAdam on one time. He actually handicapped every Cliver this year, and you could bet with him. He was the bookie. You could gamble on every tournament, and there was odds on who was going to win, who was going to make semis, who was going to make quarters.
You bet on yourself? Like, that's totally fine?
100% you could bet on yourself. You could Evander Kane the whole situation.
I definitely bet on a few tournaments this year since I couldn't participate.
You did. Did you win money on the bets? Did you win more money on your bet than the guys who played in the tournament?
I did not. I always went for the long shot, and Logan and Gabe were too consistent this year, so they were never the long shot.
So that's like the team to beat, is a guy we had on this talk show, and we just chirped each other back and forth. He's the guy to beat?
Apparently.
I'd say so. So he won the first. We had 5 Clivers this year. He won the first 3, and then didn't win the 4th one, and then didn't play in the 5th one. But he won the first 3, so he was kind of the hot hand for a little while there.
Okay, so if Maverick Hatch and Garrett May end up on a Cliver down at the beach, 2 old farts, banged and bruised, what do you think our chances are?
You guys are getting 9th.
9th, do you think? Like we're losing first round?
100%. Near a second round, because it's 32 teams are going up now these days. So you got to win the round of 17, round of 32 first.
So you don't even give us 2 wins.
And pool play, Garrett. It's a lot of matches.
Pool play, buddy.
Well, I'm not worried about that. What are you talking about? You know me, Josh. I'd play back-to-back days and then go to practice on Monday. What are you talking? Well, Maverick. You got to worry about Maverick. I mean, it's true.
I was hinting at that. I didn't want to say it, but
no. I mean, it depends who your crossover is, but like, I think fifth or ninth is safe. I don't think you're making a semi unless Mav wants to train.
That's kind of insulting, man. Like, that's a shot.
It's good, man.
Fifth or ninth, like. Gabe and Logan used to be, so I must have fallen really far if I'm only getting fifth in a tournament that they're winning.
Well, it's not only that you're in a tournament they're winning, it's also you've already, to get fifth, you got to play, to get better than fifth, you got to win 3 matches in a row, back to back to back.
Right.
After pool play.
And? So,
I don't know. I always say, hey, Garrett, you can prove me wrong. Nobody wins their first Cliver. Nobody.
Well, I think I played in one, so I've already broken the ice.
Ooh, okay, so maybe it's a chance.
So I've already broken the ice, and I'm sure Maverick's played in some.
I do.
Maverick has.
I do always remember that I'm not in Cliver shape. Like, I always end up saying I'm not in Cliver shape. Even if I'm fresh off the season, like, I'll go and play in a Cliver, and yeah, I've won a couple, but they're definitely a different style of tournament. Definitely different than the World Tour. You play like 7 games in a day instead of 2 or 3. And so, yeah, I'm definitely not in Cliver shape most of the time.
Well, let me be clear. If you're not in Cliver shape and you are national team player currently, I'm in no shape. Like, I'm not in shape to play 1 game, let alone play 7. So, I mean, I said it was insulting, but I doubt I would even make 17th right now. Like, I'm terrible. So that's some perspective. What's that?
This is where his prediction came from, I'm assuming.
Yeah, you were a bit generous, Craig, with your prediction. If I entered now, I don't know that I'd win a single point, let alone a match. I need a year.
No, you'd be fine in pool play. You'd beat up a couple teams, then you'd have a tough game. And then you'd have, like, depending on what happened in your crossover, because maybe somebody took a nap in pool play, and then you got a crossover against a really good team.
So how do you fit so many games in one day? Like, it seems like it would be getting dark by the time you're finishing.
Sometimes.
We finish it. We're normally done by about 8.
So you start at 8
in the morning, done by
7 a.m.?
8 players meeting. Registration cutoffs at 8. Players meeting 8:30, 8:15. So we start by 8:30, 8:45.
So Josh, explain this to me then. They play a full 7 or 8 match day, starting at the same time the OVA starts, and they can't even fit 5 matches into the same time slot, and they're playing 3 more games. Explain that to me.
Come on. First of all, you're way wrong. You're way wrong.
How?
We never left an OVA Beach tournament in the dark, Garrett. Like, let's just clarify that right now. And second of all,
yes, I have. What are you talking about?
Maybe with teardown included, not as like the kids are leaving. They're not playing.
Yes, I've been the last match playing on those days numerous times as the sun is setting in the finals of those 15U, 16U tournaments, man. Back in the day. Come on.
I think that's when we figured out pools of 4 are death, and we used to do 16 team draws where if you can get a pool of 3, that thing hums. But I think at a Cliver it is pools of 4 or 5 sometimes. But Garrett, I'm trying to think, who did you play with when you said you played with Nick Del Bianco maybe, or who would you have played a Cliver with?
I don't know. I don't even see. That's the thing is back then I didn't even know what these tournaments were. So I think we went out for 2 weeks and played 2 tournaments out there with not Will Sedgwick, with Dan one time. We were out there. So I don't know if So I'm not sure. I could be popping off completely.
Was there all player refs? Like, did you help with setup in the morning? Like, it's a magical thing. It's very inclusive, but you got to show up early. You got to set up. You got to pay your money.
You got to set up the net.
If you're a good guy, yeah.
Well. Yep. Maybe that's why nobody's like.
There was no staff. Like, it's all player run.
Okay. Well, that's why.
So, Garrett May, you have never played a Cliver.
Yeah, okay.
And they have a great website, so he's looking this up. You can tell us who the all-time prize money leader is, can't you, Seymour?
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Well,
I can tell you everybody that's ever played.
See, that's the tough part about like a league like that is where you get guys, if they're really good, aren't they trying to go play internationally and then they're not playing in as many tournaments, right?
True story. Johnny Wiscar, $12,537. I've paid a lot of that guy's rent.
Yeah. How many FIVBs has that guy played in?
0.
0?
Yeah, like Gosh, what a missed opportunity, Josh. It sounds like that should be a great recruiting tool for you. I'm just planting the seeds here. You got some young UBC guys you say are getting better. Josh, you're looking for guys, man. This is the connection right here. We're making connections.
I completely agree. When I got to coach Logan at Canada Games, because he's from, Penticton,
now keep
Ontario.
Logan out of this, okay?
But anyways, we
Logan's
went
getting
to
lucky. Gabe, I don't even know what those guys are doing. I'm taking full shots because both of them have never beaten me, and I'm going to keep it that way by never playing again. So that's what
we go to a
Garrett,
Cliver.
all
That's
the
first
planes
time.
only the planes only go east from Pearson. Actually, they don't actually come west, I don't think.
Oh, yeah. No, Volleyball Canada's planes definitely don't go west.
Definitely don't. The plane tickets Volleyball Canada can buy only go east.
Yeah, and they go around the world to get to Vancouver, man.
Yeah,
it takes like...
So that must be really expensive.
Yeah, no, a day and a half for sure. So, Josh, when are we going to see you out here then, man? And Ben, we got to do a little in-person sharp cuts. What are you talking about?
I've seen a Cliver. It was the first time I saw Alex Russell play. Scooped him up. He's awesome. Missed the boat on Dan Caverly. I think Dan Caverly might be the best player who's never played for Canada that I've ever seen. He was legit. But this Cliver had Nick Del Bianco played in it. Logan and Tom were really good. Yvonne Recca was out there that time of year. I think Whiskar Labordier played Gabe and Jake in the final. I'm trying to think.
Russell and Pablo.
Yes. So you're right. So Garrett, and that's just one magical layer. They haven't even talked about like challenge court yet. Like there's just so many layers to this kids beach scene.
Garrett, when you said who do you call up to play, you don't. You literally just go down to the beach and court run. It's the first court you see when you pass the boathouse there, and there's a list on the pole, and you write your name on the list, and then you look around and you say, "Does everyone want to play with me?" And then you play the next game.
Yeah, see, but what if you're a prima donna like me and you're real particular about the type of player you're playing with, and you'll just refuse to play with guys who aren't that good?
Well, then you can bring a buddy down, or you can pick up somebody that's good. But what's going to be really funny for you, Garrett, is when you come down here and you pick up let's say you play with like a Joel Cachetto. Well, all the young guys at the beach know who Joel Cachetto is. He's a really good blocker out here. And they'll be like, "Who's the chump?" And next thing you know, Garrett, you're getting all the serves.
I'm fine with that.
You don't know who you are.
If people don't know who I am, we talked about this another time. If people don't know who I am, I'm happy with that. If I can fly under the radar, I'm fine. Because because I need I haven't played a volleyball match. Now I'm thinking about it, I haven't played a volleyball match since the national championship final in 2017. Was the last time I played a beach volleyball match. That's a long time ago.
You gotta knock off the rust, buddy.
Yeah, I need some secret training is what I need, because I'm out of it. So Ben, we're gonna have to fly you in here just to pummel me, or maybe set me a few balls or something. I don't know, man. I need the assist.
You don't need the training. You just go out there and play.
So that's what I did in 2017, but I'm a bit older now. I don't know if that's the move. Anyway, so I am curious though, because Challenge Court, Logan explained it a little bit to us, and it sounds like everybody seems to really have bought in and love what's going on here. Ben, we talked the last time you were on the show about what you and your dad are trying to do and try to build that community and trying to get a few things going. I'm curious, Craig, from your perspective, what other provinces and communities can try to pull, and some tips and tricks to try to get this similar sort of community feel going, because I don't feel like anybody else really has captured it the same way it is here out in Vancouver.
I think if you're starting to try to build a community in your town, area, whatever, the first thing you have to do is go get your local college, university, indoor coaches on board with our Director of Sports Science at Volleyball Canada, Kerry McDonald's belief that playing beach volleyball in the summer, if you're an indoor athlete, is one of the best things you can do for your development, your body, all that stuff. And then instantaneously, you could have 10 to 16 to 20 very good volleyball players who maybe don't know beach but can learn it at the beach all the time. UBC's always been a huge supporter, and now there's the UBC coaches like Hawkins and Kruger are setting guys up with jobs in the summer so they can stay in Vancouver and play beach all summer. They're always down there. It's amazing. And then once you're in the community, you just don't really go anywhere.
Okay. See, that's an interesting thought, and something we've never really talked about, Josh, is like the university crowd. What are they doing in the summer? And where the hell are they? Ben, is that something you've looked into, trying to get some of the coaches out there to be like, hey, What are you guys doing? Like, can they come around? Let's play some beach in the summer or even in the winter, like when you're in the exam time or whatever. Is that something that is well received? Like, it seems like a tough sell.
Yeah, I mean, it helps to sort of have a little bit of a name for myself. Like I go in,
Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, sorry. I didn't. Oh, sorry, Ben.
opinions a little more than I'm used to. And then, but yeah, I mean, I did an NBVL season in Calgary this summer, and we got quite a few university athletes that came out and played, and it was pretty good. Like it adds to the level, and it helps them get better, and I don't know. I think everyone likes it. We'll see how they do in their university seasons this year, and maybe we'll get more in the next summer.
Right. If they go and dominate, like if UBC and U of C are out there dominating, then you guys are like, yeah, absolutely. Like, it's because of us. What are you talking
Obviously,
about?
because they played beach.
Yeah, like
obviously
it's because of what we did. Like 100%.
Yeah.
It sounds to me, Josh, like there's some other communities out there just dunking on Ontario when it comes to trying to get that connection, trying to get people involved. Like, that is something that never happened when I played beaches. I'm never looking out there and going, oh, there's U of T, there's Ryerson, there's whatever. They're trying to get in here. They're playing. Not a single time did I ever see that.
No, and I think Paul Mend, friend of the show, Logan's, biological father, he explained it to
Enough
me
of the
really
men's
well.
on this show. Like, what is this? Like, gosh, too much of these guys.
This is men cuts.
Yeah.
But he explained to me, Garrett, like, we think we have this great thing in Ontario because we have lots of towns that have beach courts, and we have Ashburt's Bay that has hundreds of courts, and we think it's this great thing. But he says what you don't understand is in Toronto, people show up to the beach and they train or they play, but then they go home. But in other communities around the country, they'll show up and they'll spend the day there, and it's this social thing, and you want to stick around, you want to hang out, you want to be around each other. And I think that's maybe the thing that Toronto and maybe all of Ontario is missing the most, is it's not like a cultural thing where I only spent like a weekend in Vancouver and it was still awesome and I'm still talking about it. And that was Canada Games was 2017, Seymour, and I'm still talking about it. But I think that's the vibe around kids, is like, Garrett, after our session, like after we're done training, we would hang around and hang out with these guys, or maybe help Seymour at side out practice, or maybe do other stuff. Like, you spend the day at the beach. It's not just like, oh, it's 8 to 10 we practice and then you're home the rest of the day. It's a whole community feel to it.
I thought you were going to say something in defense of Ontario, but it sounds like you're in complete agreement and this is soft guts again and we're all just hyping up Vancouver, and that sounds like I made a great move, you guys.
Sounds like Josh is right behind you. He's on the next plane.
You
up.
coming, Josh? Like, hey, I mean, I can help you I can't help you find a place. Sorry. I don't know where anything is.
I was gonna say, I don't know how you found a place.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, I look out the window, I don't even know what street this is. I don't know where I am. Like, anyways, so it kind of brings me to a topic, and I wanted to kind of talk about this a little bit because I thought maybe it would get heated. We talk a lot about volleyball as it happens in each province, and we've got some wide provincial representation here. Not the whole thing, but some representation here. So I'm curious your guys' thoughts on which province is the best volleyball province and why. And that goes for indoor and beach. Now, I've got some thoughts for sure, but I want to see what you guys think. Are you going to defend your own provinces, or is somebody going to sell out?
There's no way I'm selling out, just so you guys know. There is no way I'm selling out. I mean, we're not that big, right? We're tiny. We're like a little peon compared to Josh out there in Ontario. We're just out here grinding, trying to make a name for ourselves, a little scrappy cousin out here on the West Coast. So, we got to do what we got to do with what we have. And maybe we don't, outside of Courtney Comox, Martin Reeder hometown and Maverick Hatch hometown, for the record, tiny community, middle of the island, producing amazing players. Like, we get our fair share, but we put stuff together. And I think that it's pretty obvious when you look at how many people we have that just turn up in Vancouver that played indoor or beach in Ontario and Calgary and Alberta and Quebec and wherever, and they just turn up at kits for the summer, or they turn up at kits and end up moving here. I think that's pretty much sells it right there.
Yeah, I think BC definitely has the beach community kind of carrying the torch, carrying the flag at the opening ceremonies for the Inter-Volleyball Provincial Games. I've just recently dubbed it. So, but I think the indoor is a part of it as well. Like, how much does a wide variety spread? Like, are we discounting some provinces who really have no strong beach presence? Like, are we talking, for example, am I going to bury somebody here? Absolutely. I'll bury Manitoba, who doesn't have a super strong beach presence on the national stage. Does that mean they're therefore out of the conversation?
Well, what about
Well,
Taylor?
I think if anybody's out of the total conversation, it's if it's indoor too, it's anybody that's not Canada West. Like, I mean, what does OUA have? Like one national championship every decade, like in men's and women's volleyball? Like it's
Okay, so results count into it.
100%.
Okay, so best in terms of skill now we're talking. Okay, so who produces the best players? Interesting. I didn't think you'd take it there because I just assumed that by pure volume, Ontario had the edge. So I thought the argument would go somewhere different.
I think also if you look at, Alberta, maybe their beach scene isn't as strong as the indoor scene, but you look at what the indoor national team is comprised of. I think there's like 5 or 6 Alberta guys on the national team, the indoor men's team. I don't know. I don't know the women's team as well, so I don't actually know how many Alberta women are on the team. But I know the men's team is pretty Alberta strong, and then U of A has a big history of national championships. I believe they beat you in the final one year.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have 5 silver medals in my university career, so beating me in a final indoors is not that uncommon.
Wait, time out, rewind. You have 5 silvers?
Yeah.
OUA, not CIS.
I have 4 OUA silvers and 1 CIS silver.
Oh, God.
In OUA, they count the OUA championships where, like, Can West, no one even cares about the Can West championship. It's all about CIS.
Literally doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, I get that for sure. Hey, I like I said, I'm a tweener. Like I've transitioned provinces. I can't fight too hard on one end or the other. I can't like sell out my Ontario friends and family, but I'm in a new place now, trying to make a good impression. So I don't know if I want to go that hard. That's why I buried Manitoba. My partner Maria is from there, so I just happily bury Manitoba any day of the week.
We need to have the Pishki's on here to back that up.
I know we should get Taylor. I mean, if it came down to a fight between me and Tom Wilson for Manitoba volleyball dominance, I'm losing that one for sure. So maybe I should shut up.
Yeah, no shot.
Then your opinion would change in a second.
Yeah, I mean,
he's in the same room for sure.
Yeah, I should maybe watch what I say on that. Yeah, I mean, so do you two think then that I guess that BC and respectively Alberta are kind of the best volleyball provinces in Canada?
Per capita, absolutely.
Okay.
So he says per capita because everyone knows Ontario's 1. I'm kind of leaning towards Alberta's being 2 here because as much as Trinity's winning national championships, they're doing it with the Elser family from Alberta. They're doing it with Jackson Howe from Alberta.
From Alberta.
Like, Hillary Howe on the women's side from Alberta. Like, I think Alberta's pumping out some players right now, Garrett. But I think Ontario, we're 1. Let's move on to who's 2. I think that's where we're at with the conversation.
Okay, but I just want to be clear, though, that the 3 of you guys believe that your province is the top province.
I think it depending on like indoor versus beach, like
both general
both
gold medal.
Yeah, I mean both together in terms of probably overall level, but yeah, again it's per capita. I'd say probably Ontario has the best overall like performance, but that's because they have the highest
13 million people. Yeah.
Whereas I think Alberta has per capita the strongest indoor, and BC might have the strongest beach again per capita.
Okay, interesting. So now follow-up. This was a subtle maneuver by me, actually, just to get you guys to commit to saying that. So now I can ask the question, so if that's the thought, what is the knock against Ontario? Because I'm coming out to BC and everybody's telling me, and this is a weird thing that I've never had to deal with in my life. Everybody's going, oh, watch out. Like, be careful who you tell you're from Toronto. Like, people don't necessarily love people from Toronto out there. So what is the knock? Like, what am I getting myself into here?
That's the most Toronto thing I've ever heard. There isn't a knock. It literally doesn't matter. Now that you've come here, you're welcome. You are in. You're a BCite. You've made the right choice. You've moved to the right place, and now you're in. Now you join the other 400,000 people who have also been like, "What the hell am I doing living here?" and gotten a plane and made the right choice. And now you're in. You don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
But it comes from the fact that everything we consume in BC has a fucking Toronto slant to it. And it like kills us. I grew up having to watch the fucking Leafs highlights and then Blue Jays off-season talk. And then some guy in the Argos threw 8 interceptions before I could see a Canucks highlight.
Okay, so I'm okay to have come over and be from Toronto, but I just can't say that I'm a Leafs fan or a Jays fan or a Raptors fan. I'm not an Argos fan, let's be honest, but like those things.
You can be those fans. We get that. We'll rip you for it, but like we get it. But if you come here and you're like, I can't believe I fucking moved here. What a shithole. I can't wait to get back to Ontario. Then we're like, hey, get out of here.
If I did that, I'd be an asshole. I'd be a massive asshole. So I should avoid doing that.
Yeah.
So I think that's actually sums it up right there is the inclusiveness. So in Vancouver, like people are like, yeah, you're here. Welcome. We want you. Whereas in Ontario, it's not like that. Like I've lived in all three provinces for parts of my career. Yeah. And in Toronto, I never felt welcome there, basically. Like I was there, I was training, but it was always like, okay, you're here, do everything yourself. We have this coaching for you, but get here and make sure you're traveling here all the time, do all this all yourself. And then in Vancouver, it's like, oh, how can I help you? You're here, we want you to be here. Come play with us, come do all this.
That's a pretty damning piece of testimony there, Ben. I didn't even feel welcome in Toronto, and I was born and raised there, so I get that feeling. So maybe that's just it, is when people come to Toronto, they go, yeah, people just don't seem that excited that I'm here. Whereas when you go elsewhere, it's like, hey, how's it going? Welcome, come on in type thing.
Yeah, basically.
Josh, do you have anything to say in Ontario's defense? Because my family might be listening to this and going, Garrett, what's happened? You're a complete traitor. Please come back.
No, I think I can kind of see that. And to Seymour's point, I remember there was one year Toronto was playing in Vancouver. It was a Vancouver home game. And Garrett, what time was it on? 7:00 Eastern, because even Hockey Night in Canada switched it. That like imagine being a season ticket holder for the Canucks and you're at a 4:00 game because the Leafs are in town. Like that would bug me so much. So I do sense that what they're saying is pretty spot on. Like so. I think I can only learn from it, Garrett. I can't defend it. I can't say that it's not happening. I can just learn from it because I imagine Ben's story is pretty true in my own experience. I'm not from Toronto. I had to move here, and it's the center of the universe for a reason, Garrett. People are pretty focused on what they got going on and what makes them great, and they're not always willing to go out of their way to help people.
Huh. Okay. Wow. So Josh doing a lot of work to keep this from getting really heated, because imagine if Josh comes out and goes, no, you guys are complete idiots. Toronto's the best thing on the planet. I mean, we would have a fight on our hands. I mean, somebody might be hanging up. So I'm glad that that's not happening. Holy. So Josh, you're flipping sides.
No. We're still great. We're still the best. I'm not saying we can't find better ways to do things, Garrett, but we're still amazing.
Okay.
They're trying to get better.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean,
Garrett, I do have something to say. I'm not going to change topics completely.
No, please do, because I was about to say we have no topic. Yeah. So let's keep it moving.
Okay. So I was about to say something because I do listen to this show.
You do?
And one thing, yeah.
But he didn't know you moved to Vancouver. He's not a recent listener. He's like a casual listener, Garrett. Sit down. He's not like the super fan.
We did it. Yeah, we got a listener.
I'm not a super fan. But whenever you're talking about the beach, I listen. If you're talking about some random indoor stuff, you're like, who played in Turkey last week or something? I don't know, whatever. I hang up. But
I mean, the show sounds fun when you say we're talking about something random like that. I have no idea what you're referring to. Cool. Like, we sound cool.
So you talk a lot about how, people from Ontario don't feel the love. But Garrett, you got to know that when you and Dan get the hug counter board made of you at the Van Open, that's because we love you. And that's because if you come to Vancouver and you don't get made fun of, you got to think there's something wrong with you.
Okay, that's not what Logan Men told us.
No.
Logan has no idea. He's 12 years old.
Okay. I mean, valid. I'll take that. I'm happy to let that ride.
So, perfect example. Last Van Open we had, the two American guys, Austin and Johnson, the two Chris's, they got ripped for being American a lot. They did not embrace the crowd, and the Brazilians did, and they had some booze thrown out their way, but I had talked to them all weekend, and the one guy's like, hey, we know what it takes to make a good tournament. We're happy to be the heels. So they
Hey.
get it, man. They're AVP guys from California. They get it.
When you bring up wrestling lingo on this show, you immediately earn next level respect from one of the hosts, at least. So we have talked about that on this show before, and thank you for bringing it up. Not that I felt like when Dan and I came, we were the bad guys and like people were booing against us. Like we didn't get booed, so it's not like I felt like people were like, "Hey, get out of here." But it was also like, I wasn't used to it because people in Toronto are walking the boardwalk. Nobody knows who you are, and they don't really care. So it's definitely a unique thing. So what do you like? That is welcoming. Then is the chirps. Sorry.
Yeah, like
Sorry, is it the beats?
You're playing.
What's the term out here? Because I need to change my language.
Beats, dragon, usually chirps. Usually chirps
Okay.
is more like a little hockey language. Yeah.
Okay.
But if you're getting chirped, like you're playing on challenge court, and the guys sitting around start chirping you, that's when you know you're in. That's when you know you're in the club. Because if we don't know you that well and we're not sure about you, we're probably not going to say anything.
See,
right
now I'm scared. Like I'm a little bit scared to even show my face. Is where I'm at now. It sounds like it's a lot of pressure to live up to, and I'm not ready.
Yeah, and honestly, I'll tell you what, Garrett. As far as Van Open lore, the hug counter is a top 5 Van Open lore.
Wow.
As far as like to get talked about and like legendary beer garden moments, it's a top 5er. It's incredible. And part of the reason it's lore is because you and Dan embraced it, and I will go to my grave saying you guys were throwing in extra hugs. Guys were missing serves wide, and you guys were throwing.
So
You embrace-
well, I'll end that right now. Well, as soon as we saw the hug count, we were like, we got to make them get another piece of cardboard. Like, there's no way we're gonna go this entire game without them not getting another piece of cardboard. Like, what are we doing here? We're gonna fill this thing. So I don't know if you noticed, but we'd like hug and then like talk about game plan and then hug again to try to just double it up. Absolutely, that was intentional.
You embraced it, pun intended. That's add another mark to the
Oh
hug
my
count.
gosh, Ben, quit with the intelligence on this show. You know we hate it. Identify. None of us even saw that. Damn it, you with the smarts, Ben. I mean, we did embrace it. Wow. We should just end the show right there because we're never going to get any better than we were just in that sequence right there. And because I have no idea what else we want to talk about. What do you guys want to talk
I
about?
want to know what else comes to mind in the top 5. You don't have to
Would
tell
you
me like
quit
what's
interrupting
ones
Ben,
or-
Josh?
but-
Seriously.
I do have something. If you are worried about the chirps, Garrett, you can always go in and be a chirper, and you'll fit right in as well. Like I know Dan Grunfeld he's more known as being the guy who chirps now than he's an Ontario convert, and
Yeah.
he's known for his abilities in the beer garden more
Okay.
so than his play, I think.
See, I wasn't worried about being chirped. I take that. I mean, like, especially now, and I don't care. I worry about sucking, though, because then the chirps are coming, and they're true. Like, it's accurate. Like, hey, you stink. And it's like, shit, yes, I actually do.
No, if I'm playing and I'm not getting chirped, I'm like, oh, I'm horrible today. Because people are feeling so bad for me that they're not chirping.
So guys don't actually chirp if you're doing terribly.
Oh, if you're horrible, guys are like, oh, fuck, he doesn't need anything. We just leave him alone.
Okay.
We'll just like head down, walk away.
I mean, that's reassuring because my first few outings are certain to be, well, I don't know. We'll see. Who knows? Is it like riding a bike?
The biggest compliment you can get on Kits Beach is somebody saying average. If you get the average call, that's like the number one compliment you can get. So if you do something awesome and someone's like average from across the beach, down the beach, like that's the ultimate Kits Beach compliment.
So is it discussed, this kind of like subculture language thing, or is it just unwritten? Nobody even discusses it. You just know.
You just kind of know. It's kind of built. I don't even know where. Couldn't even tell you where average started. Could have been a Sandy thing. Could have been a Phil Weir thing. I don't know where average started, but it's just become a thing at Kits Beach, and I say it, and then a little bit while later I hear one of the new UBC guys saying it to somebody else, like, and it just starts and hangs around. And same with the Skyball thing. It lingers and grows. It's awesome.
Okay, so Josh, I expect you now to mid-episode start calling out average for like our hosting abilities, like right? That's how that works.
I don't know if I want to copy it. I don't really know if I fully understand it yet, so I can't really make it our
was
own.
simple enough. You call it average, it's a compliment because it was good, obviously good, and they say average like it's subtle. I mean, what do you mean you don't get it?
There's a time and place, maybe. I don't think this moment exactly calls for it. I think I got to wait for the right moment.
Well, I was about to, if you said something smart, I was going to go average, but no, you didn't, so now I got to say, that's garbage. So, okay, whatever. Well, glad to hear it. So what else we got, Josh? I mean, I was unprepared for this episode, and I got to apologize. I mean, new job, new city. I mean, cut me some slack, listeners. And thanks for listening, by the way. I forgot to remind everybody we're on YouTube, Sharp Cuts Volleyball. Do you guys ever listen to the show? And if you do, is it on YouTube or is it on the podcast?
Podcast.
I actually watch on YouTube.
Ben's the real hero right there.
Yeah.
Ben likes to see the faces and the expressions.
You and our 16 subscribers.
We have 16 subscribers and growing. You can't leave that out. And growing.
Ben just watches. He doesn't subscribe. He just he's a lurker.
Damn it, Ben, go and subscribe. Josh, you're going to save us with a new direction to head.
I got one more because, again, knowing our guest really well, Garrett, I think this was one that came up with Maverick on the show. And I want to get their
brag there by yourself, by the way.
For sure. Yeah, I'm so smart. I'm so well prepared. But with Ben growing up in the sport and Seymour being a great coach, especially in the youth series, Maverick, it really grinds his gears when athletes don't go to the beach and just play. They're like, oh, what are you doing? Like, oh, I wanted to go play yesterday, but there was nobody to run our session. Or Mav will lend his net and he'll be like, hey, did you go to the beach yesterday? Oh, no, I couldn't find people. It's like, that's the whole beach thing, is just to set up a net and just find people that way, right? So, Ben, I'm curious, we'll start with you. Growing up, were you always coached, or was there a time and place just to get some buddies and go like play the whole day, and you didn't need structure or a coach there so you could play beach volleyball?
Well, I mean, Calgary, there's not that many beaches, but so it's not really you can go to the beach. Like my parents had a facility with the beach volleyball courts, and so I was fortunate in that regard that I could just go to the beach and play. But yeah, it's not something that's common in Calgary. But yes, I did grow up doing that because that's something my parents encouraged. That my dad didn't want me to be coached too much. He wants me to go and learn on my own a little bit with the guys my own age.
It sounds
so, Seymour, what's the blocker here? Like, why don't kids do this then? Like,
well,
what is the blocker?
I'm just about to comment on that, Josh, because we maybe need to be a bit sensitive, because this is our Toronto centricity coming through here. And now, Ben identified it, is how many places is it even possible to just go and play? 2 cities in the country?
Do you have to rent a court in Calgary, Ben, or can anybody just go use the courts if nobody's using them?
Yeah, you have to rent most places. So there's not a whole lot of places where there's just open beach volleyball courts. There's a few, but yeah, there's like 2 courts in those places.
I'm rethinking my entire argument here. Like, are you kidding me? Availability is such a huge thing. Like, Vancouver, you can. We walk down near where we live. There's like 1 court, but it's often empty and people are just there playing. So like you could do that. And in Toronto, there's the hundreds there, right? But what other cities in Canada can you do that in? Like, maybe we should forgive some of these other provinces for not having strong beach communities or players, because how the hell are they supposed to do that when there's nowhere to just play?
Yeah, and especially when you don't have the critical mass, right? Like, even if there's like a set of posts up, there's posts up in Kelowna and there's posts up in Kamloops and things, but if you don't, have the motivation, the whatever to grab 4 friends and go down, or, you're a teenager and it's awkward to ask, or, do you know what I mean? It's definitely tough. And I do know from some kids' point of view, I agree with Mav for the record. I'm not going to argue kids need to play way more. I know from some kids' point of view, if, it's hard for kids to find 4 people or even 5 people or 6 people that want to do the same things that they want to do. So a lot of times kids will tell me when I bring 4 friends down or 3 friends down, 3 of us really want to play like as many games till we're exhausted and lie in the sand. And one of our friends is like, I'm too tired after 1 game. Right. Or going halfway, where if there's a coach there, it's less likely that's going to happen, or there's more players around your same thing. But I totally agree with Mav that kids need to go play more. And the really awkward thing as a volleyball coach who's charging money for sessions is I also know that. And then you fight this internal battle in yourself being like, they need to just play. And then you're also being like, but they're paying me to coach them. So you like fight this battle of being like, and I used to tell myself all the time, like, oh my God, I'm the worst. My drills just deteriorate into games all the time. And then I'm like, actually, this isn't a bad thing at all. And so, but you do want to be like, play. But then if you're getting paid as a coach, you feel like you're like, oh, I can't just let them play and stand here. But really, a lot of times that's what they need. And they want things planned for them. Parents and kids want things planned for them. That's what I've learned. More kids need to just go play, but they love things planned by other people.
I mean, it's a fair point in defense of teenagers. I mean, last time we talked about this, I absolutely buried the kids, I think. If I remember back, I just ripped on the youth athletes, which in hindsight was pretty harsh. But, I mean, I'll stand by it, I guess. Yeah, absolutely. What are they doing? But now I have some greater sympathy, Josh. What the heck is happening to this show, man? Like, now I'm having reflective moments. Like, what the hell are we doing here, man?
Soft.
I think somebody's got to make a comment here below about like something about BC. Like Dallas is going to be talking about like, are you wearing plaid and wearing Toms and tree hugging and all that other stuff? Like, there's got to be a comment somewhere.
I'm gonna say, Garrett, it sounds like you're by the one court, so it sounds like you're like maybe you can see Science World out your window there.
Listen.
Can you see a big circle dome? Can you see the thing looks like a big golf ball out there? Like
I know where that is. I know where that is.
Are you close to that?
Let's not assume that my window is high enough that I have a great view, you know? Like, the budget is tight these days. Sharp Cuts isn't making that much money yet, so we're still waiting for the checks to come in. But yeah, I'm in that area.
Because if you're in East Van, your closet does come. Like, when you buy the place, there is button-up plaids in the closet. Like, it's mandatory that you have to leave 3 behind for the next person that comes in.
So I should check, actually, and just confirm. I'm going to go do that right now, actually, while we're on the call.
If they didn't leave any for you, you need to call your landlord and let them know that there was a deficiency when you moved in.
Okay, I'm looking. Talk amongst yourselves.
Hey, I live in East Van. I'm currently looking at... let's see in my closet here. Yeah, there's like 5 button-up plaids in there for sure.
Yeah, well, I've got an excess of winter jackets, so it's that's what you get when you start going east. It's better plaid than a lot of winter, I'd say.
I found them actually.
Perfect.
Maria just moved them into a different closet, but yeah, they're definitely there. I don't know that I have 3 to leave, so we might just leave them there to leave for the next person coming in. But I didn't know that. That's great. We wouldn't have done that, so now we would have gotten fined for sure. So thanks for the tip there.
Is there craft beer in the fridge?
No, I drank it.
Okay.
I will notice, though, a distinct culture change. And Ben, you've lived in multiple places. Like, I guess that's just a thing you got to deal with. Like, you move somewhere and it's like, people are a little bit different, right?
Yeah. I mean, Grant calls me the Big Easy because I just adapt. I roll with wherever I am. But yeah, I mean, you do have to deal with different things in every place. So like Toronto, it's a lot more busy. Make sure that you're keeping up with everything when you're in Toronto. You go in Vancouver, it's a little more laid back. Calgary, it's sort of in between the two of those, colder, so you have to bundle up.
Yeah, like that is so true. Because like we walk down to the beach, and there's a lot of beaches, by the way, here. So Josh, you'll maybe appreciate this. Walk down to the beach, and you just walk around, and it's kind of quiet. Like, it's not loud, which I know it maybe doesn't make a lot of sense when I just say it, but it's like noticeably different than walking down at Ashbridges Bay, where you're walking on the boardwalk there, and it's like, it's just loud. People are talking, somebody's doing something, somebody's playing music over there. Here, it's just like, there's hundreds of people, but it's very quiet. Just like this.
We like the outdoors.
Yeah, I know. Like,
yeah, I mean,
people like it.
I've never lived in Toronto, so I can't speak for that. I've obviously been there a bunch of times. And the thing that I notice about Toronto is there's like way more nightlife in Toronto. And whereas in Vancouver, half of the people are going to bed early because they're getting up at 6 a.m. to go for a hike or go for a bike ride or go for whatever. Whereas in Toronto, it's way more like whatever, like who cares what we're doing tomorrow? It's probably going to be cold and whatever, so we'll just sleep in. And there's no mountains to climb or oceans to swim in. So what am I going to do with myself?
Absolutely. Like, we're walking around at 10 p.m. just out, and it's like, it's dead. There's nobody around, and I'm like, what the heck's going on? Like, is it 2 a.m.? Like, no, it's like people are going to bed early, and I'm I'm the night owl, like gamer lifestyle, like Yes Guy Gaming, subscribe by the way. Up late doing all that stuff. So it's like, yeah, totally different, man. I don't know whether I like it or not. Anyway, we talked a lot about the differences and stuff between that. Josh, I mean, your topic about rehashing an old question, like, can we chirp that a little bit, like, just to keep things sharp, like asking a question?
I don't think we settled the issue, Garrett. We didn't settle the issue, and I wanted a new perspective. Okay.
Is there a single issue on this show that we have settled?
No.
Not a single one. We don't even offer solutions. Like, gosh, what are we even doing? Well,
just complaining, I think.
I mean, this is how the show goes. Like, we get to a point where we're just like, what are we even doing here? And that's usually how the show kind of grinds to a halt.
Just complain a lot and put it on the internet.
Anything you guys want to talk about?
Yeah, it's just all about airing your grievances. I mean, I could go on about Volleyball Canada stuff, but we don't want.
Wait! I do have something to say about Volleyball Canada. Canada.
Hey, let's be cautious here about our employers. Just saying, we gotta be sensitive.
I know. I'm just gonna say. So, I went with Logan and Gabe, and then the McNamara's to the King of the Court stuff over in Hamburg and Utrecht, and I got to talk to a lot of people.
Okay.
And what I learned is that the federation model we have in Canada is the worst possible one we could have in the world. And the reason I say that is, on one end of the spectrum, you have like the federation, like the Dutch Federation, where if you're on the national Dutch team, they pay for all your hotels and accommodations for every tournament you want to enter, and you get to keep your prize money.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Those Dutch. Oh man. Well, you know, there's only two things that I hate in this world.
People intolerant of other people's culture. So, but with that one, you can't get your own sponsors. The Dutch Federation gets all their own sponsors. Okay. The other model that I learned of is the Latvian Volleyball Federation model. And that is, there is really no Latvian Beach Volleyball Federation. They don't have a coach. They don't have a program. But you can go get any sponsor you want, including direct competitors of Latvian indoor volleyball and including direct competitors of the Latvian Olympic Committee. So I'm talking to Smoilovs, and he's like, yeah, when I know that some bank is sponsoring the Latvian Olympic Committee, I go to the next bank and I'm like, hey, do you want to sponsor us? And so what we have is we have no support for athletes. Well, sorry, I shouldn't say no. Very little support for athletes and no support as far as like plane tickets and hotels. And we don't let them get their own sponsors if there's competing sponsors through Volleyball Canada or the Canadian Olympic Federation or Olympic Committee. So we have this thing where they can't really go out there and get their own sponsors unless they're going to find ones that have nothing to do with really volleyball, which are out there, but they're hard to do. And we don't then provide them money to do what they need to do and go places and play tournaments and stay in hotels and do these things. And so we're stuck in this like middle land of nothing. And I did not think my brain was going to go there. I was always like, we need to do more. We need to do all this stuff. And I came home and I was like, maybe we just need to dissolve it.
Yeah, you're fired, Josh. You're absolutely fired.
Whoa.
Like, forget everything you've ever done.
Here's the thing. You could still be a coach of one of 1, 2, 5 teams that are out there getting their own clothing sponsors and their own sunglass sponsors and their own bank sponsors and their own gaming, like gambling site sponsors and getting sponsored by Yes Guy Gaming and whatever.
Hey, no, there's no money in that budget. That is, sorry. Barking up the wrong tree there. It's an interesting you bring up sponsors though, because we've had the conversation about sponsors on the show before. And
are you rehashing a subject here, Garrett? Are you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just following your lead. I thought that's what we were doing. I mean,
pretty average.
Yes, it is average. Yes, it is. Anyways, we've talked about sponsors before on the show and kind of how it's in some ways, unless you're really bringing in a ton of eyeballs, it's a drop in the bucket kind of for the expenses that you're going to have, especially if you're not doing well. Like if you're struggling. Maybe Ben, you can shed some more light on this, but when I played, the expenses for me, and maybe this is an exaggeration, but to play a full season were 40 to 50 grand. Now, if you made a bunch of great prize money, then you obviously cut into that. Any sponsors, your carding helps with that. But the sponsorship, and I was, never a top in the world, so it was tough for us. but the max we ever got in sponsors was a couple $1,000s. And so it was like tough to really compare that to the huge expenses we're going to have to incur. So I know it's like, yeah, if there was a way to get more money, it gets more players out there. Our federation does better. But with nothing, then there's $0. And now you're getting sponsors in a market in Canada where nobody cares about what you're doing in some ways.
But if there's no federation, it doesn't matter who sponsors you. So you can get sponsored by like seedy payday loan company, weed companies, Dave's marijuana emporium. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you don't have a federation where you have to like clear stuff through there, it opens up a huge window of like where to get sponsors from. Like, so
you're going to go get sponsored by like a porn site and plaster that on your shorts and put the Canada flag right next to it? That's probably a tough sell, I would think.
But not if there's no federation.
So I do think there is something to Seymour's idea, but I think it goes with being able to play local events, like big local events. Like the fact that Canada doesn't have a tour as well hurts us for getting sponsors, where Latvia, they have a good Latvian tour. They have the CEV that they can play. They have Euro Championships. They're seen everywhere locally. Whereas for us, we're never seen in Canada. I mean, AVP has a very similar model that they're not really like the USA. I mean, they have it pretty good as well. USAV pays them a stipend and everything for all the top teams, and they get to do sponsors and a local tournament. Like the US system, I really like. But like for us, we don't have a local tour. We don't. The most local we can play is Clivers, but that's not really shown anywhere for sponsors to see. So it's kind of it is difficult to get sponsors if we don't have any help with a local tour or something like that.
But what if you're not getting Canadian sponsors? Like, what if you're going to sponsors in Europe and saying like, I'm playing all these European events and whatever, like you're going to, the number one Latvian sponsor is SMS Credit. It's like payday loan, text your phone. I'm sure it's some 28% interest. It's like for sure preying on poor people, which is extremely unfortunate and in my opinion not okay. But there's all these places out there, and maybe we don't need to look locally for sponsors, but you're kind of hamstrung by this whole like, no, you can't do that, you can do that, but we're not going to give you any money, so but you can't get that money.
Have you ever had a big sponsor, Ben? Like, have you ever gotten a sponsor that's given you a significant support?
The biggest I had was what's it called, B210 or something like that. That they for one year they helped us out, and they
is that the sport drink?
B210.
No, that's RE7. I think you're thinking of.
What's the B210?
It's a company that it's a bunch of investors that get together to sort of invest in up and coming athletes. So they helped Cam and I for 1 year, and they covered all our training costs, like physio costs, all of that stuff, and that was a really, really nice year.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it. Okay, so yeah, but there was never any issues like I don't know, I guess that's kind of a weird example, right? Like, how is that a conflicting sponsor in any way? It sounds just like a bunch of people who put their money together to help you get the job done.
That one wasn't, which is why we were able to get it.
Right.
But then we finished the year ranked like 11th or something, and they didn't like that we didn't crack the top 10, so they stopped sponsoring us after that. So it's kind of cutthroat as well, where you have to appease the sponsor and meet their conditions, and if it's results-based conditions, then it's much tougher than how much put something on my shorts. Yeah. That's easy.
Yeah, I talked with my biological father a lot about the sponsorship game, because he did that a lot when they ran the tour, and just talk about, I guess I'm a little bit jaded because he talked about how difficult it was to secure sponsors, even for a series of live events in enough value that made the deal worthwhile for both sides. Just how such a tough game it is. And then maybe that's kind of shaded my perspective on the sponsorship situation. But on the other hand, it's there's some companies who could get into the volleyball community, and everybody would jump on that. Some companies, if you're we're the blank of volleyball or beach volleyball in Canada, don't you think that would get a lot of money for that company? I feel like it would.
Well, look at what I mean. They're a way bigger market, but like, look what Slunks has done in the States.
Slunks?
Like they've literally Slunks, the short clothing brand. They've basically taken over the AVP, and they're doing huge business. But I know what you're saying. Sponsorship game's tough. It's so tough, and then it's even tougher when your pool's limited by rules and regulations you have to follow because you signed whatever contract. Because I guarantee you that there's no competing sponsor of a porn site or a payday loan company or an illegal weed operation that Volleyball Canada has, but there's no way any of our athletes can get those sponsors. Right, Josh?
I feel like you've been informed by some pretty bitter athletes. I don't think you have the full information here, Seymour. What you're saying is not wrong. Like, we're sponsored by Lulu. That means that Garrett can't be sponsored by Nike and be a Volleyball Canada athlete.
Because I'm not an athlete anymore.
But
so if Nike's listening, Sharp Cuts is available for a title sponsor.
Your source isn't exactly waving the Volleyball Canada banner here, which puts a little bit of a lens on it, is what I'll say.
So could one of our athletes be sponsored by a porn site?
That's tough. That's a tough situation.
How about gambling?
So no, we can't, because we do have to get sponsorships approved by Volleyball Canada.
Right. Okay. So if it's like against the spirit of the game, I'll be honest. Like a weed company, or like porn. Like, can you imagine like a men's team sponsored by a porn site? They're going out there repping like. It's like that's just in really bad. Would the FIVB even step in at that point?
Maybe. Yeah, and I don't actually know. I'll think that was just an extreme.
It would be hilarious, though. It would be absolutely hilarious.
And for the record, that was an extreme example that you came up with.
I know, that's my example.
I'm just jumping on it.
That's absolutely my example.
But I would love to know, like, what is the, what is line? And now with sports, like, are we missing a big opportunity? Because now the NHL and the NFL and the MLB, they're all jumping on this FanDuel, Bet365, MGM. Is Volleyball Canada out there talking to sports gambling websites already? Because if they're not, they're missing the boat. They're falling behind.
Well, it sounds like even if they were, not sure they could discuss it if there's some irons in the fire there. So just to protect Josh's NDA.
Can't confirm or deny these rumors that I'm hearing right now.
I can't confirm or deny.
I was going to say one of our teams is sponsored by an edible company, but it turns out it's vegan edible, like gummies, not marijuana. So I just wanted to, I thought we were, but we're not.
Okay.
So,
yeah. If I were making a decision,
when I heard gummies, I thought it was edibles, but it's not. It's like a herbal thing, so never mind.
Like if I'm the FIVB, I don't want somebody playing in shorts with something like that, though. At my tournament.
I do know we're not allowed to be sponsored by alcohol, and so I assume that would be along the same.
Right, like alcohol, but marijuana, just fine. Like, man, what about a pharmaceutical company getting in there?
Marijuana is not.
I think that's all of Canada. Like tobacco and alcohol, I don't think are like major things.
Sponsored by Viagra.
But then I wonder if you were like playing for Canada, but you weren't under Volleyball Canada Federation. Like, could you then get sponsored by alcohol?
No. See, that's how it works, right? Is even if you play for Canada, you need to be like credited or in good standing with your federation per FIVB rules, right?
Yeah.
So.
But I think that's also an FIVB rule is no alcohol, and so I think there's obviously other things along in that realm.
That handcuffs you huge.
But payday loan text messaging, totally fine. Just for the record.
That is a weird one. And like the biggest sponsors of the domestic tour we used to have, all alcohol.
All alcohol, 100%.
All of them. So
that actually cost us.
That's a handcuff.
That cost us a lot of stuff in Canada, right? That cost us the Indy. That cost us like the Indy races, like that rule getting changed. We almost lost the really big fireworks we have here every summer. Cost us our volleyball tour. The no booze thing really put a damper on it. And I don't know about you, but teenage me did not start drinking beer because it was called the Molson Indy Vancouver. Just for the record, I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, I mean, my dad, I'm a child, and my dad's job was to run the Labatt Blue Beach tour. I'm like a kid at this tour with my dad's job, and that's not why I was starting to drink, was because of that, for sure. Like, no way.
Right.
I was trying to drink to drown my sorrows from this unsuccessful podcast that we've started, that we need more than 16 subscribers. Damn it, Ben. How could you not subscribe to the channel, buddy? Seriously.
I think I am subscribed.
Okay, then I take back everything I said. I take back everything I said. I apologize profusely. Now he's going to unsubscribe. Now I blew it completely.
Garrett, let's use this show as like a social experiment and put Seymour's thing to the test. Let's see how many like weird sponsors we can get. Let's see if we can get a European bank to sponsor our podcast or just something
So
way off
you're
the
giving me
budget.
the
I don't know.
okay.
You won't know unless you ask. And how bad would it be to go down the road of like asking weird sponsors and then find out that there's some weird like clause in the rule book that says like, no, sorry, you can't be sponsored by a casino on a ship attached to an island off the coast of Barbados. Because that's like in some weird clause in the
Because they probably offer dogfighting or something really weird that I don't want to be a part of.
Yeah, so
accurate.
where are we drawing the line there then, Josh? Like social experiment? Should we just cast the net wide to our viewers to let us know? If you got some people willing to give some money to sponsor a show, we'll entertain them. But we're not gonna take everything.
I think we will listen to any offer,
Yes.
and I think we need to massage the message, Garrett. Do we have 200 listeners, or maybe are we Canada's biggest volleyball podcast? Like we got to really control
we
what
don't
we're
tell
offering
anybody the
here.
numbers. We're Canada's biggest volleyball podcast, but that's not even kind of true. Is the tough part
Nope,
about
it
that
is.
as well. Like,
You're in the top 5 of Canada volleyball podcasts.
Hey, I can
say
say
that with confidence.
I can safely say I am the world's #1 volleyball video game YouTube channel. I mean, that's got to sell something, right?
If we just turn up all the mics, you can be Canada's loudest volleyball podcast.
Listen, Ben, I don't appreciate that nonsense, okay? I'm definitely Canada's loudest volleyball podcast host, that's for sure. That's not even close. I think we've done it. I think we've reached it.
Somebody send me a hat. We're for sale, Garrett. I think we're open for business. Let's just say that. Any of our listeners, we're open for business.
Yeah, I think we've said enough. I think
You never know what's out there until you ask.
That,
You never know.
that slogan will really pull in the porn. We're open for business. Pull in the porn.
We're open for business. Pornhub.com.
sharp cuts. I don't know how that translates, but we'll find a nice segue. I don't know. We're gonna have to appease a lot of people with that. Damn it.
There goes my clean rating on iTunes. Thanks, guys.
Oh my God, the iTunes version of this podcast is going to be 4 minutes long.
Yeah, we're gonna have to wait to not mention the sponsorship until enough where it's worth it. Get demonetized. Damn it, you guys. It's a great idea, though. All right, we better end the show, though. I mean, we don't have to, but people have stopped listening by now, so we may as well.
100% they've tuned out.
Yeah, like nobody's listening anymore. So for the one of you out there who's still listening, hit us up. Send us a text. Hit us up on Instagram. We want to hear from you. Who are you? Because what are you
Say
doing?
I'm still listening.
Yeah, like, what are you doing, by the way? But also, thank you so much.
I like how your first one was send us a text because we obviously know this person. It's going to be my mom or like somebody we know. Like they have our number. We don't need to post our number. They have our number.
Yeah, like I told my mom, like, hey, Mom, I do the podcast and it's out. You can listen to it. She's like, no, I know. It's like, okay, thanks. Yeah, exactly. So we better shut this off.
Or does your mom have 14 burner YouTube accounts and she's 14 or 16 subscribers?
Yeah, those 16 subscribers, 15 are me, actually, Josh, and 1 is Ben Saxton. So that's kind of sad.
Well,
actually.
I've subscribed since we discovered on the show that I hadn't, so I'm in there now too. So.
Okay, wow. So 3 of our subscribers are on the call right now. So we really only have 13 subscribers, and probably a few of them might be my burner accounts. So that's... You know what? We better end the show before anyone's ego takes a bigger hit than it already has.
Is that like 12% of our subscribers are on the show
Stop
right
it,
now?
Josh. I told you, it's too much. It's hurting everybody's feelings. So thank you all so much for listening. Thank you both for joining us on the show. I think it was a good time. Hopefully we're still friends. And hopefully I'm going to get out in the kid speech scene and not make a fool of myself and get the average chirp. That's the goal.
That's the goal.
All you need.
So thanks for joining us. And thank you for listening. And we'll see you next time, I hope.